Hello, welcome back to Skeletons Out the Closet podcast, where we share transparent stories of faith, life, and everything in between. We're your hosts, Chase and Christina Grandstaff. I'm Christina.
And I'm Chase.
Welcome to today's episode. We're
Good
so
to
excited.
see you. Good to hear from you.
We're so excited to be here today.
What are we talking about?
We are sharing our counseling experiences today.
Dun, dun, dun.
We are going to get into some personal stuff today.
We're going to fulfill the title of Transparent Stories.
Yes. We are.
We ain't going to just talk about it. We're going to be about it.
Yeah, I really believe that if people were to talk about their counseling experiences more, it would make people more comfortable to do the same.
Absolutely. It's like is it the word taboo in our culture not to talk about counseling?
Yeah. I think especially like older than our age.
For sure.
Really.
Them old folk. They were like, we ain't going to no counseling.
Yeah.
We go to the altar.
Yes. And I do think that that's important to go to the altar too.
Absolutely. I got to get it both.
But I think God does anoint counselors. We've seen that in our own life. All of our experiences with counselors have been Christian counselors.
I like to refer to them as anointed referees.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's definitely true for our first round of counseling.
A spiritual mediator.
So let's just, before we get into like the
nitty gritty.
Yes. Let's talk about this one thing. When we first got counseling,
back 20 years ago. No, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but no one knew. We kept it so secret.
No, just the secretary at the office who we were writing a check to.
Yeah.
Whoever you were.
No one knew that we were getting counseling. We actually just were really ashamed of it at that time.
Yeah.
And we were in a place.
Because you can't be weak. Can't be weak.
Yeah.
You know, can't be vulnerable.
That's
you can't
really
share.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And these are some of the things that we hope that we can help others with, that we just kind of tear down those lies and those walls. And for the most part, that, religious culture that we often find ourselves in will erect in our own lives, whether we want them there or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to kick the door down. Sometimes you just got to come in like a wrecking ball. I'm just kidding. But sometimes
you've always got to have one of those at least.
There's many in me today. I can feel them. I can feel the river flowing of joy.
Yeah.
I'm fixing to just bust out in a comedian show right here.
Okay.
Y'all get ready.
Okay.
All right. So number one, because we're going to try to keep this under 30 minutes. We got lots to do today. Okay. We busy people. We got kids fixing to come stomping up in this house.
Yes.
Because this, even though this looks like a state-of-the-art facility, we in my basement.
Yeah. Also, our internet was out.
Yes.
For the first half of the day.
Yes.
So when we would normally want to do our podcast, we couldn't. And that's part of being flexible, right?
But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this. That can help somebody else believe in God to grow this channel and the influence and the content. We believe we bring value to the table. We want to spread that value as far and wide as we can. Number one, what did counseling do for our family? A lot of great tips, a lot of great points. We want to condense it down to 3 of our favorite. I would say it opened the lines of communication, which were completely shut. Let's talk about it.
The very first counseling that we did.
Yes.
We were not talking.
We weren't talking. We had shut down. It seemed to be like it was impossible to begin to communicate healthy again.
Which was weird because I'm not that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're an external processor and you need to talk things out. But when it gets so bad that if you have an external processor in your home between a husband and wife, and they just get to a place where you no longer see them or hear the need to externally process, something's wrong.
Like within a week.
Yes. Like the lines of communication have shut down. This is going to be like a red flag indicator of, even in our worst times, they still wanted to process through this, but now they're not talking at all.
I would say too, back then, social media really wasn't on your phone.
Right.
Like, it was more you would go on a computer to do it.
Hmm.
So I feel like it would be even more difficult today to notice lines of communication have broken
Right.
because you can distract yourself with your
Yeah.
phone.
Well, sometimes you think that while we're communicating because we're sending texts or we're in a group chat or that he's responding to emails or something like along those lines.
Yeah.
But you should be able in your relationships. This isn't just reflection of marriage. I would say in relationships in general, red flags are when you start to see the lines of communication are closing down. Something's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. I like to look at it as healthy communication is like healthy plumbing in the house. The toilet flushes and nothing else happens. But when the lines are clogged, there's a lot of crap in them. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you got to
Wow.
get the plunger out and you got to work
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? Because something is clogged.
That's actually true.
Yes, and a lot of times it's healthy to look at it that way. I mean, we
But
are
it's so important. It's
our
so
marriage and
important.
our way we communicate it's a conduit.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
And
I just can't get over
you
the.
can't get over the okay.
We
Well,
should have come up with something different, but
watch the.
here we are. He's super silly today.
Someone's gonna take that
So-
from me. Watch it be in like some pulpit this Sunday and be like, some pastor be like, I heard it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
but for real, communication's so important. I mean,
Yes.
you cannot be
Yes.
overly stressed. Like it's so important. Like talking
So
it
we
out.
knew that, and we
Yes.
knew that if we don't do something,
You gonna clap your way through this?
yes,
Right.
we knew
Now
that
you're rock paper
this
scissors.
is like passion.
Okay. I
And
feel
you
like
can't see it.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't see it up there.
I feel like
So-
you about to break out any moment with like rock paper scissors. Like you're
Rock,
triggering
paper,
me.
scissors.
I'm like ready to.
Okay.
All right.
All right. This is going all over the place today.
No, we haven't even yet to
We
begin.
went into plumbing. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Communication is extremely important.
it is, and we knew something was wrong.
Yes.
We knew that if we don't get some sort of conversation going,
Yeah, I was gonna have to leave you.
oh my.
No, but it was bad. But it was bad though. And what I thought to be so valuable very quickly, when it was so quick, right?
Mhm.
As soon as we got a healthy individual in the room with us,
Yeah.
like it can't be anybody, right?
They have to
Listen,
not.
your grandma's not your counselor.
Yes.
Okay. Your
Yeah.
uncle is not your counselor.
Yes.
A lot of times your pastor don't really want to be your counselor. He
Well,
don't want to get all up in your mess. It is healthy to find someone who is skilled in the area of counseling.
But also they need to be like somewhat, what's the word when you're neither on either side?
Yeah, unbiased.
Neutral.
You're unbiased.
They need to
You
be
don't have
unbiased.
you have unbiased opinion. I don't know you. I don't know him. I don't want to pick sides
It's
here.
almost like an outside voice looking in
Yeah.
and saying, "This is what
Unbiased
I see."
approach sees that there's three sides to every story.
Yes,
And
and so it helped us. So that the lines of communication came open. Probably I'd say two counseling sessions in.
yep. And we just needed a healthy mediator. We needed someone that could sit down between us and say, okay, where's the conduit clogged? Where's the lines of communication blurred for you guys? And let me help you
Mhm.
to get that frequency back. You guys to
Yes.
begin to connect again to where you can start to
Yes.
talk again. And sometimes, guys, when I say this, it's so important, and listen to me clearly here. There's always three sides to every story.
Yes.
As a good leader, you have to understand that there's his side, there's her side, and then there's somewhere in between, which is the truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a good leader can help identify where is it? Where's the line? Because if I can help find the line, then I can get them both talking again. Because a lot of times, communication gets you get brought back into that frequency when one person and another person start to compromise a little bit
Yeah.
of letting go of something.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
hurt
we were
here. You
both-
said this.
Yeah, we
I'm
were
willing to
both
let it go.
very wounded. We
Yes.
were both very wounded. And I think that's why we needed that. That's one of the things that he said to us was, "Hey, you guys are very wounded
Yep.
at each other." And
How can, and one of the things a counselor does to open the lines of communication is he helps you to start the healing process.
Yes.
They start to convince you that you can't move forward wounded. You can't move forward hurt like this. You can't move forward with offense.
Yes.
And those are all communication blockers.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say? So name your top 3 communication blockers that just stall it out.
Defensiveness.
Pride.
Unforgiveness.
Absolutely. I have to echo those because they're just that's it. Pride being the first right at the top.
Yeah.
If an unwillingness to take the high road, an unwillingness to come to the table with, I'm sorry, I was probably wrong along the line somewhere there. I need to learn my way through this.
Yep.
I would say that one of the ways is especially for men, listen to me on this. You have to remain teachable. You have to remain teachable. A lot of times we get so shut down in communication that my wife or this individual, whoever it is, and that we're in relationship with, maybe it's a boss and the communication lines are blurred. Maybe it's and you need a mediator there. Maybe it's between you and your pastor. Maybe it's between a husband and wife or a family member. A lot of times we become unteachable in that relationship. They can't tell me nothing.
Well, if they've already messed up or too many times, or they've already hurt me too many times.
Who are they? Legs falling asleep. Let me change up.
That's the
Oh no, I done messed up the whole scenario right here. Shaking the table. Got my knee all up in the frame.
It's okay.
What in the world? I'm way chill. I'm real relaxed.
It's okay. This is gonna be a really good podcast. Everybody's gonna like it.
Everybody's gonna be like, finally, Chase is able to just cut loose. Let me let my hair down. All right. So, but for real, like a teachable spirit is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
A teachable spirit tears down pride, right?
Yeah.
It just tears down pride. It's saying like, hey,
I'm willing to be wrong.
I'm willing to be wrong.
I'm willing to see your perspective.
You have something that we're not farting. This is our chairs rubbing together, I promise. But a teachable spirit lays down, it has to lay down a spirit of pride, right?
Yeah.
Because like if I can't hear from you no more, I can't learn from you. You have a lot to teach me.
Yeah.
Girl, you've been teaching me for 20 years.
I do. I'm very, very
You do. You have a lot to teach me. I have a lot to learn from you. And that's a beautiful thing about relationships.
Yes.
We're in this together because iron does sharpen iron.
Yes.
And you will spur me on. Like we will together grow each other and mature each other. But if we shut down communication, that stops.
Yeah.
It stops. So I want to be teachable in my relationship. I want to be able to be approached by you with correction, with rebuke.
But also that the person who approaches you, it matters how they approach you.
The approach is everything. If you don't do it in love, and people can see genuine love. You can't fake love.
No frustration, unforgiveness.
A genuine spirit is a beautiful spirit, isn't it? When you come and approach somebody with love and care and gentleness and kindness, people can see that. It keeps the lines of communication open. Sometimes, let me encourage you out there, maybe you find yourself often in relationships where eventually the communication starts to just shut down and you find yourself saying, I'm just not a good communicator. Your approach is everything. How you approach people. If you're arrogant, if you're prideful, if you're unteachable, if you always want to cut people off and they can't finish a full story and you're not a good listener, you are breaking down the lines of communication in that relationship. And relationships do not thrive unless communication is thriving.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Amen. And so we were able to start to communicate again. Counseling helped us to open back up the windows of communication, the chain of communication, and we were able to talk again. And if you can start talking again, you can start walking again.
Yeah. And I say the sooner the better.
Absolutely.
Like we were probably a month or so into not communicating.
Yep.
Something like that.
It was too long.
When we were like, okay.
It was a long time. It felt like forever.
Yeah. Okay. Got to do something.
Yep. And maybe there's relationships out there where it's been a long time and it's become your norm. You got to break that. Yeah. You got to break it. You got to figure out, you got to get somebody into that relationship that can help break that chain of we're not communicating anymore. It will be detrimental to any one particular relationship. Hear me on this. today's got to be the day.
Yes.
The first step's got to be now.
Yeah.
And it might just be with an I'm sorry. It might just be with I'm wrong. It might just start with, will you forgive me? I got to get better. And maybe that's the first step today. Baby steps are important in every matter, in
Yes.
every circumstance, and in every
They
situation.
are.
Your decisions will compound. If it's a sorry today, a tomorrow can be, would you like to have dinner? And then the next day can be, would you like to go for a walk? And then next thing you know, you're going to wake up and realize you're in love again. You're talking again.
Mhm.
You're happy again. Me and Christina are best friends now. We become best friends over a 20-year relationship, but it hadn't been easy.
No.
Many times our communication has broken down.
Yeah.
And we have used the tools that we're going to talk about today to repair the bridge that has been broken down for whatever matter. We don't even ever go back really and look back on whose fault it was that time or what was going on. Because the truth of the matter is, it's typically the involvement's both sides most time, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's both sides. Very seldom do we find is it one particular person that it's all their fault and it's all their issues.
I would say in the beginning of our marriage, we probably thought that more than we should have.
Yeah.
But it became very apparent as the older we've gotten, the more seasoned we've gotten, that it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So number two, we're only going to throw out 3 golden nuggets for you to pick up today. The reason why counseling benefited our family in such great measures in so many ways, it gave us different perspectives into each other's lives, into the circumstances surrounding some of our issues. Let's talk about it.
So some of our behaviors and things that we were experiencing were simply because we didn't know how to handle certain things.
Absolutely.
We didn't actually know how to process maybe past experiences or things that had happened to us that we never dealt with.
Yeah.
And
what would you say practically, like something that you picked up out of counseling that you're like, you know what? I don't want to think that way anymore.
So my favorite one is I used to put undue pressure on everybody around me to be perfect.
Really?
Really? As if you don't know.
So would you rephrase that in like, so you had unrealistic expectations?
So I had in my mind, as a defense mechanism, created these perfect scenarios for everything in my life.
Yep.
Not that my house had to be perfectly clean. I wasn't like
because
that.
you had that man.
That's true. But it's not, it
Am
wasn't.
I like a little Susie homemaker around the house?
Yes, but let me finish.
I'll be scrubbing, right? And sweeping.
That's true.
And
that's
dusting.
True. You don't need to say much more because people are going to get jealous.
Yeah, okay. Gotta get you one of these. They're expensive though. They're expensive. But unrealistic expectations. So it's so real.
I created in my mind a picture of perfection for every area of my life, and I didn't realize it.
Right.
It was a defense mechanism. And in counseling, the lady counselor I had in this specific instance looked at me and said, "Christina, perfection isn't possible."
Come on now.
And that perspective,
you're about to hurt somebody's feelings on here.
That perspective truly changed my life. And it was because I was even measuring my relationship with God as if I had to be perfect.
Yep.
Like, Jesus saved me, now I need to be perfect.
Yes.
Not Jesus saved me and he makes me perfect. I work because he loves me, not for his love.
Yes.
And
let me just keep that in front of your mouth a little bit.
It's like way off.
All right. We then got coached on our audio up in here. We got to get it right.
I know, but that's like way off where you just
so would you say you had a grace issue?
Yes, but I think the perspective of you can't be perfect.
Got you.
And the permission not to be.
Okay.
It actually, that perspective really switched and changed my life. I remember grieving all of those things that I thought would be perfect. Like, it was like I took a moment to say, this isn't going to happen this way.
And so what did you do to change?
It just, that perspective just changed it.
Mm-hmm. So you die to yourself? How do you lower your expectations from the place of perfection?
This is the crazy thing about that. when I heard her say that, it changed it all.
Really?
Yeah.
The truth
Like,
shall set you free.
yeah, like I didn't need to
So you
go
like
and do a bunch of
unshackled yourself from this false reality
Mhm.
that life was going to be this certain way.
Yeah. I didn't have to go and like have a bunch of self-work
Hmm.
after that for that specific thing.
Right.
Just I took some time to grieve it and that was it.
That's awesome. And I would say for me, if we were to like just throw out some practical things,
Like a
because we're talking
perspective
about
shifts.
that we had perspective shifts through inviting a counselor into some of the scenarios of our life and
Mhm.
being vulnerable in that. I
Yeah.
would say I had to come to the realization that I was very fear-based controller. Like I wanted to control scenarios with fear-based solution. Like if I didn't get my way ultimately, and if I got to this peak of it's not going the way I want it to be in our marriage, or this decision is not panning out, I would try to inject intimidation and fear into scenarios with raising the voice, being more intimidated in my approach, and just like putting the foot down aggressively. And it was because I was trying to control the narrative, control the situation. And I had to learn very quickly that that's not going to cut it.
Well, you
That,
know what was crazy about that is that you learned that that behavior came from a desire for peace.
yes. Yep. Yeah. My Enneagram is 9, which is a peacemaker. And I desire above all else a desperate need for peace in every scenario of my life. And I will, it's
So you were trying to
unhealthy.
like control
It can be
everything to be
I
peaceful.
was trying to I wanted to be in control of every scenario I could possibly be in control over because I wanted this final solution to end in peace. And if I can be in control over it, then
I could guarantee it.
I controlled my measure of peace in relationships and scenarios. And let me tell you something, if you're out there struggling with control issues, they will bring you down to the grave. They will keep you in the full Nelson headlock
Mm-hmm.
and will choke you out because this life was never meant to be controlled. You're meant to be free. You're meant to think free and live free. Control robs you of joy in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was always robbed from just living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If I could never just stay in the moment, I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what was next, trying to control the next scenario, the next destination, the
Mm-hmm.
next place of arrival, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think way out ahead, and you get robbed of being present in the moment with family, with friends, with loved ones, with a moment with God where something happens and you just can't fully just sit there in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And control was just a robber. It was a robber of the peace, actually. It
Mm-hmm.
actually worked against the very thing that I wanted and that I desired. And so I started letting go of certain aspects of like, I don't have to control everything.
Yeah.
That was, it seems so simple, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, it was a death grip on my life to try to control everything. To try to control outcomes, scenarios. I had a hard time in delegation because why? You can't trust people because then you lose a form of control. The
Yeah.
moment I put responsibilities in someone else's hands, the moment I can no longer control the outcome of that. And
Yeah.
guess what? You're not going to lose my
Isn't
peace.
that kind of like that's kind of like micromanaging too? Like
It
that
can
was
be.
real.
It can bump down to that level very quickly if you don't manage it properly and watch out. Um, and thank God for his grace. His grace is sufficient in our weakness. In our weakness, he's made strong. He shows himself strong. And
Mhm.
God's gracious with us. He's patient with you
Yes, yes.
to develop you and grow you and prune these things off of your life because they do not bear the fruit of his spirit. God's spirit is one of self-control, not
Yeah.
a controlling spirit. It's self-control,
Mhm.
and it helps you have a good perspective over what there's a difference between self-control and a controlling spirit, like being controlling.
Yeah.
And so I was freed from that because of counseling. It opened my perspective to see that, man, I try to inject fear and intimidation and control into situations, all for the sake of trying to fill the narrative with peace and peace and peace. And every single solution was going
Yeah.
to equal, I'm going to be calm and cool and collective at the end of all this. Why? Because I controlled it all the way to the very end.
I
And that's
remember.
miserable.
Do you remember the first time I'd read this book about how powerful people don't try to control?
Yes.
And that weak-minded, if we're weak-minded, that's when we try to control, right?
Absolutely.
And I remember the first time I told you that, and you
Mhm.
hadn't gotten counseling yet.
Yeah.
And we
Last thing somebody wants to be told, but it's the truth, right?
well, we had a power struggle that
Yeah.
day. It was a rough
Well,
one.
what book was that? Powerful. You're a powerful person.
It was either Keep Your Love On
Keep
by
Your Love
Danny
Light?
Silk, but
Okay.
also he has a parenting book
Uh-huh.
called Loving Your Kids on Purpose.
Okay.
And both of those talk about this about not controlling. How
Yeah.
like if you try to control people.
I would say that really helped me.
Yeah,
It actually did.
It did.
Like that, getting that idea in me that you would tell me you're a powerful person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to flip out. You don't have to get upset. Like no one's controlling you.
Mm-hmm.
That is your emotional. That's your emotions coming out. That's you trying to control. That's not other people. And it just helped me so
It
much.
kind of stops us from having blame game, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and then it kind of came back to bite me because you got really good at it really quickly. And I realized how not good I was at it.
Listen, controlling people, here's two things that they will, if you're, maybe this can be self-evaluation for you today.
Yeah.
Are you extremely critical? And do you constantly put the blame on other people?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, the blame can't be on me. I've controlled every narrative. It's everyone else's fault. I'm in complete control of the scenario. So if it didn't go right, it couldn't have been me because this is well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already projected the outcome to work. So because it didn't, it's not my fault. You messed this up. And you get critical. You
put that in with perfection.
And it's a hot mess.
Yes,
Express.
Yes.
For sure. All right. Number 3, counseling was a blessing in our life. It helped us in so many ways. And number 3, it gave us tools to move forward. Because listen, any good teaching, any good help, any good oversight, any good covering, it better put tools in your hands to move forward.
Yes.
Or else you're just going to go back and get stuck in the same place you were before.
You're going to be in default.
Yeah. You're going to go right back to the patterns, the behaviors. Guys, you can't just be hearers of the word. The Bible says you got to be doers of the word.
Yeah.
You got to put this stuff into practice.
Well, you can put it in the most basic form and think it would be like, it's like if you witness to somebody and they get saved and they have nowhere to go for discipleship.
Absolutely.
They're going to go right back into.
Let's talk about default. How easy is it?
Extremely easy.
Extremely easy, right?
You have to reset the clock.
Yes. Can you break it down in 30 seconds? Like what is default in the mind and in our patterns and our behaviors? Like what's going on there? Is it can it be simple as
the easiest place you can go back to?
Yes.
It's
a place of comfort there, right?
Yes. Like it's the most simple place for you to go right back to.
Yep.
And when you're younger, those things are going to be immature.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times if you don't actively work on maturing in certain areas, you'll default back to really immature behaviors.
Yes. And so how can we help people today with value? Listen, your lifestyle, it tells on you, your behaviors, they tell on you. You can pick up really quickly, pen and paper, and see, where do I continue to revisit areas, cycles in my life? These are defaults.
Yes.
You're defaulting back to places that you've not yet matured or grew in.
Or healed.
And a lot of times it simply comes down to you don't have the tools in your hand. You don't have the proper tools in your hand. A tool that I got in my hand is I had to be told, you don't have to control everything. And if you'll let go of control, you'll realize how much fun our life is and how much joy and peace you really have. You're actually limiting all the things that you really want.
Yes.
A tool in my hand. What was it? I don't actually have to control anything, and it works out better.
And really, that is a perspective shift.
It's a perspective shift.
And then you get the tools to carry that out.
Yes. And the tool that I carried from that point on is I was liberated by a truth, a perspective shift, and I now had a tool, and that tool was I get to live free from controlling everything and anybody around me, and I just have to live in the peace and the comfort of knowing that I'm in control of just myself, nobody else.
Like, no matter if it's a negative situation going on,
Yes.
I'm responsible for
For
my response.
my response, my behaviors.
Mhm.
I don't have to try to set anything up for how they're going to respond. I don't have to be in control of the moves that they're going to make. I don't have to, if they drop the ball, they drop the ball. Like, you give people permission to mess up. It was liberating. It was
Yeah.
liberating. So let's talk about some tools, healthy tools, that for me, I would say there was a healthy tool moving forward of, it was as simple as this, but it's so hard for some reason. Positive affirmation cannot be overstated. I had to learn that words of affirmation mattered to you,
Yeah.
and that my words either tore you down or they built you up.
Mhm.
And that here's the truth that I had to swallow. One negative comment will replace 15 positive ones.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that really quickly, because we would call it filling your love tank.
Mhm.
And if I could fill your love tank with words, then I'm golden. Our communication is open. It's on. It's like we're thriving. But man, one negative,
Mhm.
it brings you back to zero deposits
Mhm.
so fast. And I don't know if that's human nature. Like, why is that? And it's
Mhm.
just because, man, we're hurt by words.
Mhm.
Words, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Liar, liar, pants on fire, Shelby. Liar, liar. Words do hurt.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They especially hurt people with a love language of words of affirmation.
Yes. And a lot of people are words of affirmation.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. People want to be affirmed. They want to be
Yeah.
loved.
Yeah.
And so, tools moving forward, I learned that my words were important. And just because I have one good day, guys, hear me out on this. You think you have one good day, but when you trashed your wife all weekend and you talked down to her and you belittled the kids and you had nothing but negative and criticism, Monday ain't gonna pull you out of the dump. You
Yeah.
think it might. Your little text of emoji kiss, little heart emoji and little let's go out for Chick-fil-A, and you realize at the end of the night, you don't get no lovey-dovey time, kissy smoochy moochy.
Okay.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
going
You need
too
to understand it's because you got about 5 or 6 days that you got to fill that love tank up again.
Yeah.
This is a reality, right?
These are tools that we learned.
Yes.
Tools we learned were how to treat each other, how to respond to each other,
Mm-hmm.
how to forgive when you don't feel like forgiving, how
Absolutely.
to walk through a process of forgiving. These are all tools. And even we've already discussed this in one of our podcasts, but the empty the jar,
Yes.
that kind of stuff is stuff you learn in
Right.
counseling. These are tools.
What episode was that? You remember? They can go back and watch that. Go back and watch all the episodes, and you'll pick up what we're saying.
There's only 4 more.
Yeah.
So.
So tell me, and as we close this out, what was a tool that you walked away with in some of the counseling sessions that you thought, man, this will stay with me for the rest of my life? Awkward silence. You're supposed to be ready to
I
go with
wasn't
that.
ready for
All
that.
right, I got more tools.
You know
then.
how I am. I need a little bit of time. So you give me your tool, and then I'll think about it.
Well, I already threw a couple out there, but I can keep rolling.
What's like
one of the greatest tools that counseling ever get me? It was the freedom of vulnerability. Once I felt like I could talk to somebody about anything and everything, it opened my heart and it broke down the walls that God calls me into meekness, not weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That I can be strong, but yet vulnerable. That I can be a powerful man, but yet I can speak from the issues of my heart. That I can weep and cry in the presence of whoever will listen, but that doesn't make me less of a man.
Yeah.
And so I carried from the rest of my life out of counseling that vulnerability carries power. It carries power not to go back to the self-imprisonments that we put ourselves into.
Yeah.
And so counseling broke me free of, I was liberated from,
I have one now.
I don't have to hide.
Yes.
I don't have to hide. And can I tell you guys out there listening today, many of you are hiding. You're hiding. You have skeletons in the closet. But we are promoting and pushing transparency for a reason, because skeletons got to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
You have to get to a place where you no longer hide the deep issues of your life, the pains, the hurts, the traumas, the past experiences, the things that you've walked through in your life.
Yes.
These skeletons must come out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that counseling did for me is it brought the skeletons out the closet.
Mm-hmm.
It caused transparency in my life, and it gave me a tool moving forward that I refuse to go back into hiding.
Yeah.
I will bare my heart. I will find somebody who I can trust, and I will tell them all, anything and everything that's going on in my life, because what happens is the devil whispers in your ear. He lies to many of us, and he's lying to some of you today, is that you need to live with that shame for the rest of your life. You need to live with that guilt. No one really wants to know that issue. No one really wants to know that secret. No one really wants to feel that pain. And nobody actually really cares. Can I tell you that many people care? They care about you. God cares about you. And his word says that if you'll confess your sin to one another, you see, sometimes we get away with in our own minds, I'll just confess my sin to Jesus. I'll just get my counselor's the Holy Spirit. You know, he's the greatest counselor. Praise God. But that's a lie a lot of times to ourselves. The Bible says, confess your sin to one another. There's liberation and freedom when you get with another brother or sister, when you get with somebody, a counselor, a pastor, a teacher, a guardian, a mentor, whoever it might be, that you can find that special person and you can get free. One of the tools that I got was I was liberated that for now on the rest of my life, I'm going to be vulnerable.
Yeah. I think one of the tools I got, I had to think about it. One of the tools I got was my counselor told me, you know, that was a really hard situation. Like what I was talking about. It's a really hard thing that happened to you in your life. And you need to quit whitewashing it. You need to quit trying to say, but God is good, but God did this, but God did that. Why don't you just sit in that disappointment for a minute and say, yeah, but that really hurt? Because a lot of times we talk about how good God is, and that is so true. He is so good, and he does heal us. But sometimes we don't heal because we're not willing to sit in the discomfort of that feeling, and we don't learn what we needed to learn. It's like, wow, I really feel slighted in that moment of that
Would
situation.
you say that it becomes almost unbearable to revisit the pain, right?
For me, it was, I don't ever want to bring any kind of negativity toward God. And she said, God's big enough. He doesn't need you to shield your pain to make him look good.
Yep.
He already does look good. He makes himself look good in our healing.
Absolutely.
And so that was a perspective and a tool for me.
Praise the Lord.
I'm going to be able to be vulnerable with people and with God. And that doesn't mean you have to be vulnerable with everybody. This is why we said it's our counseling stories.
Yep.
Because we're not vulnerable with everybody.
Absolutely not. You shouldn't be.
And
it would not be wise to be vulnerable with anybody and everybody, because not everybody is deserving of your secrets, your pain, your past. But there are people out there who are skilled and gifted to help you through your stories, through your life, through your experiences, through your pain, through miscommunication, through relational issues,
transitions, changes.
Yes. And so we are all 100% all in proponents of find that person. And here's the deal. Let me debunk this as we close today. Most people always say, I've heard it as a pastor 100 times. I can't afford counseling. I can't afford it, Christina. The truth is you can afford what you want to afford. You will put your money in the areas that you value. You can afford for your kid to go on travel ball. You can afford for a pair of Jordans. You can afford a pair of Doc Martens. You can afford that mall trip. Can I tell you that it's cheaper than you think? Can I tell you that there's many Christian counselors out there that you go into their office, they'll work with you? Can I tell you that for $100 a session is very common in America, and you can spend $500 that you would have dropped at a weekend at the beach, and that $500 can pull your relationship out of the mud and out of a hole, and you think, oh man, it would have took so much more, and you'll never go back for visit 6. You won't need it. I never called our counselor and said, hey, he never saw us again. Once we woke up one day and said, it worked, we're out of it, we're back in the game, we're healthy again. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. He never again heard from us. And we moved on.
That's right.
And we spent a little bit of money up front. We got what we needed. We got tools, perspective change, lines of communication. We're open back up. And here we are today. Started from the bottom. Now we're working our way to the top. 20 years together.
And we do not revisit the same problems.
Nope.
We don't go back and have to revisit the same
problems. Because we learn from them.
We learn from them. These counselors helped us pull us out of these different things.
And let us be clear on this. We've been through counseling multiple times. Individually and together.
Yes.
We've sat in paid sessions. We've sat in free sessions.
Yes.
We've come together at the table with mentors,
Mhm.
professional counselors, pastors, world
Marriage
leaders,
conferences.
marriage conferences. We have made major investment
Mhm.
into this marriage and into our home.
Mhm.
And I want to encourage you to do the same. Guys, you've heard
Yes.
it today. Skeletons out the closet. The reasons why we have made the investment in counseling in our own life, it will pay off. I promise you. I will never hear a story in my life, I don't think, that someone said, I went to a counselor and it sucked. And
I've never heard
it
that.
didn't help me and I didn't grow at all. I've never heard those stories. I
Unless
don't
they
think I
went
ever
to
will.
one session and ran.
Yeah, and heard something that triggered them and they didn't want to go back and revisit that pain. But
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much for joining in every Monday through Friday, 6:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can catch Chasing the Truth with me, your host, Chase. Christina does Wednesdays.
Created Confident, where I teach you how to become confident in who God has made you to be.
And every Tuesday and Thursday, we drop an episode of Skeletons Out the Closet. Guys, thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, share this on your posts, on your feed. Help us to grow the channel. Until next time, we'll see you. God bless.
We'll see you guys.